this. This. Okay, we are live, and let me check if it's working. Okay, we are live, and let me check if it's working. Okay, let me sit into my original position here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me know if everything is working fine on both of our ends. Video quality is good, sound quality is good. Please let us know. So we
Hello,
can
chat.
actually start. Let us know. Hölgyek, urak, tudassátok velünk, hogy kezdhetünk-e. Jó a videó és az audio minőség is. Tudassátok velünk, jó? Kérlek szépen. Please let us know. Dennis, thank you for the follow, by the way. Thank you. So yeah, let us know. Can we start? Let me also check. If people will be lurking, then I will check it myself. Let me also check. If people will be lurking, then it seems fine. I will check it myself. Let me also check. Yeah, it seems fine. Okay, let me know if you can start. Are you down?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, nice. So welcome everyone in the very new episode of my Dev Live show. I'm here today joined with the creator of the game called As the Leaves Fall, and I'm very honored and very thankful that you joined us for today's episode. And like I'm always saying, let's start with a little bit of introduction, so please introduce yourself for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Stefan Prüss.
Okay.
I'm an indie developer, a solo indie developer, and I've founded the company Playground Games.
Okay.
My background is in art and animation. I worked 15 years in doing 3D animation for movies and TV. And later I became, I pivoted into gaming and became an art director at a mobile game company where I worked for 7 years. And then a couple of years ago, I decided I wanted to try to make my own game. So yeah, I quit my job, and I guess that's all that's the stuff we want to talk about today.
I see. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so the first question of mine would be, what was the very first contact with video games as a player, if you remember those times and memories of your life?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I actually think one of my earliest memories is playing King's Quest 1 on my uncle's PC, like way back in the day. I think I just loved adventure game in the way that you felt like you were in this world where you could do anything.
True.
Obviously, you couldn't do anything or everything, but it seemed magical for me as a kid. And I remember that we in my family we got the Amiga 500. That was kind of the first gaming computer in my family.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of years just playing games on the Amiga, also drawing pixel art in Deluxe Paint, which was a painting program on the Amiga. So I think my whole just love for games and digital art really started back then.
I see. And did you know back then that you want to work in this industry where video games are created? Like, have you had the vision back then already? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, as I did pixel art on the Amiga, I always dreamt about becoming like a game developer myself.
Okay.
And I was actually fortunate to have an older brother who was a programmer and part of the Amiga demo scene.
I see.
So me and him together actually tried to do a couple of games on the Amiga, but I mean, we were very young at the time, so it never really amounted to anything. But back then, yeah, I really wanted to do games. But then I went a different direction with the whole animation and movie industry. But it's always been like in the back of my head that I would love to do a game. So yeah.
I see. And what do you think? What could cause you not go full into video games when you first started chasing your dreams, but you went to a way different territory? Like what could cause that?
I think it was just, well, I also loved animated movies. I always loved like Disney animation. I was the when I was like 16, I went to the cinema myself to watch animated Disney movies because my other friends were not like into that at that point in time. So I was a bit of a nerd, I guess you could say. And then I found out there was this really great animation education in Denmark, where I'm from. So I just went that way. I mean, it seemed like the right way for me to go to pursue animation.
I see.
But after I've worked in animation for so many years, I just felt like I needed to do something else with my life and new challenges. And gaming has always been close to my heart, but it's also closely related with the animation industry. I mean, you can be an animator in games as well.
True.
So the pivot for me wasn't really hard. I also knew people that worked in the game industry, so it felt kind of natural to go that direction.
I see. I see. And how do you feel about your life? Like, were your family and close friends supportive about your decision that you started with these two passion of yours to make into the industry of animation, movies, and games? How do you feel about that?
Well, my parents have always been extremely supportive of me wanting to go in the direction of art.
I see.
So they helped me also pay for the animation education and all that stuff. I think when I pivot into gaming, I find it like people understand it less in some way. My
Really,
parents
but
don't
why?
understand
But
games.
why?
No, well, but I mean, especially people like my parents, they don't understand games at
Oh, I
all.
see.
I feel like I feel like there's a lot of people also, my brothers and sister, don't I spoke about my brother before, who's a programmer, but I have another brother as well and a sister, and they're not into games either. So it's when you talk to people that aren't into games, it becomes kind of difficult for them to really understand what it is or
I see.
appreciate it, I think. But where everyone knows movies, everyone knows TV. So when I was on that career path, there was like a lot of support and fascination by it. But with games, it's a little bit different.
And how do you find this transition of like appreciation and not having that much appreciation for games or making your own games? How do you feel about that?
Well, obviously, I would like for my parents to understand it better, but I mean, that's also up to me to kind of like speak about it and show them and educate them in what it
Yeah,
is.
it's very true. It's very true.
I mean, that the first time or the first part of the development of this game, I didn't really have a lot of stuff to show, but recently I've fully announced it and I have a trailer and I have screenshots and all that stuff. So I've also begun to share that with friends and family, and I think before when I was just speaking about it, people were a bit like maybe not getting it or but once you actually get to show people what it is, it's easier to talk about it and for people to understand it.
True. And to connect with the story or with the
Yeah,
characters, with the
yeah,
animation, yeah, with the
and
music.
people also, yeah, and people become automatically more interested when there's actually something to look at and discuss, so that's also a thing.
True. Like a lot of people are always like first judging by the cover of the books, right? Like we say so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And so, how do you felt back then when you went on the road of really chasing your child's dream, like being a kid again, if we could say so, like making your own games? Like how was the feeling of yours back then about it, or what feelings did you have back then? Was it like hard to transition yourself from your daily job to going full into like making your own games?
Well, it was kind of like a soft transition since while I was at my old job, I started in my spare time to look into. I saw people were doing these adventure games in Adventure Game Studio, Adventure Creator, Visionaire Studio. There's so many engines now where you can make games without being a programmer. And I'm not a programmer. I'm not really a technical guy at all. But I kind of I looked into those kind of engines and saw that it was actually possible to do my own games. So I started just throwing ideas around in my head and started writing a little bit in my spare time, and it just slowly became like a bigger idea and something that I realized that I actually wanted to pursue. I think it also came in combination of that I was kind of getting tired of my job. I had been there for 7 years doing mobile games, and the games we were doing, it's just very much the same formula. All the games, it's like casual match color games, kind of thing. So I knew that if I didn't go out and do my own game, I would have quit the job anyway to find something else to do, just to shake it up a bit. I've never really been one to stay put in one job for a long time. I mean, the creative business is very flexible that way. It's a lot of freelancing, a lot of short-term contracts and stuff like that. So so I just softly transitioned into actually having like a solid idea that I wanted to pursue, and then in combination with me also wanting to try something else job-wise, it just made a lot of sense for it to be something to do now.
I see. It makes sense, yeah. And have you already had the story of your game when you like started creating it, or even before that?
Well, that was kind of what I was working on in my pastime, right? While I was having a job, I started like just figuring out ideas, what could be fun to do in an adventure game. Because I knew it was going to be an adventure game I was going to do. So I was just like playing around with ideas, and then this idea in particular just kind of grew on me, and I started doing more research and just really delved into what this game could be and started writing a lot. And then before I knew it, I had like half a script, so it's
nice.
and at some point I just knew now I'm gonna go full time on it, because if I don't, it's not gonna be realistic to actually make a game.
True.
But I didn't go exactly full time, because I went from having a full time job to going into being I had a period where I was full time on the game, but then I went back to doing half time work, part time work, just to kind of support myself for a while. And but it's been a bit like back and forth. But now I'm full time on the game again, and I plan to be that until the end of the production.
I see. And do you feel like you found yourself by really like making your game now? Do you feel like you're really at that point of your life when you found yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a dream of mine to do a game, and I'm not getting any younger, so I also thought this is kind of the time to either do it or it's never gonna happen. Yeah, it's definitely it definitely is. I mean, I'm playing around with games as a job, it's not that bad. But no, for sure. I mean, it's also a part of me that just wants to self-develop in some way, and I feel like I was stagnating a bit in the jobs I had, and doing this game development as a solo developer really allows me to try out or challenge myself in ways I haven't done before, like with script writing, with programming. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, marketing. I mean,
true.
I'm so green in this, like in terms of being a solo developer. It's my first title, so there's just a lot of stuff to learn.
True.
And that's exciting. Yeah.
It's like when kids are trying to recognize everything and get information from our words. It's challenging, but it's also fun. Okay.
Yeah.
So a more personal question for me would be like, I believe that all of us creators who create our own craft, we tend to and willing to put our inner self, our stories, memories, emotional, feelings into the craft we develop or make throughout the time we do those things. Is it true for you as well? How do you feel about that?
About putting something personal into the game?
Yeah. Like, do you feel like for example, the story or the music or the graphics or the characters have some message that it's more like your personal experience put into the game? How do you feel about that?
Oh, that's a hard question. So I as an artist, I always think that you put something personal into everything you do. It's when I worked at companies where we were a lot of artists, it's fun how you can always see, even if everyone is like drawing, it's the same style. We want the game to look the same. You can always recognize who did what because of people's personal style just sneaking in there just a little bit. But as a story wise in the game, I don't think I can't say it's like a personal thing at all. But
I see.
there's definitely like a preference of what I like that is
I see.
very personal in what I'm making. I mean,
See.
both in terms of the type of game I'm making, also the type of story I'm telling, the the mood it has in the graphics. I mean, there's definitely a lot of me in it in that respect.
I see. Okay. Okay. No, I just was curious about it because your story has deep emotional levels, right? So it's about like
Yeah.
losing a father and trying to figure out what happened, going back to the past, reliving the past that the main character might not had. So it's a very beautiful story, in my opinion, and that's why I was interested in that. There is a
My
connection.
father is still alive,
No, no, it's
but
it's not.
yeah.
No, no. Yeah, yeah. When you like started talking about your parents, I realized that. But I was like curious about the missing part of your childhood. Like, is it something that you are also missing? Like, you would like to go back to your childhood or something like that? Like, is there a connection between that type of story, and that's why you like made up this story?
Yeah, no, no. I wish I could say there was something exciting
Okay.
like that, but
No,
not
your
not
story is
really.
exciting. Don't get me wrong. It's just
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
no. I
curious about
mean,
the connection between you and this story. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, yeah, no. I mean, exciting that it connected to my own childhood or something, but there's not really something like that in it.
I see. I see.
But I do love stories that has like a lot of emotion, a lot of
I see.
character.
But it's also
So
the
it
person in you, right? So you love emotional stories
yeah,
because
yeah.
I
Okay,
I
in
I
that way,
assume
you can
that you are an
definitely say
emotional person, so that's why. So it's you in the
sure.
game, right? So yeah,
Sure, I'm definitely writing an emotional story because that's also what I love
I see.
to watch in movies as well, or playing games.
Nice.
I mean, that's also why I love adventure games in general because it is a genre that really has a lot of possibilities to showcase deep characters with deep
True. True.
emotions,
True. True.
and I definitely push that as far as I can in my game. I really focus on characters and their struggles. I find that very interesting in games.
I see. I see. And if you would happen to like share like the core message of your game that you want to people for to connect with, what would that message be with your game? Like, how do you feel about it?
I think the game is very much about like from the character point of view, it's very much a journey for identity. It's
Okay.
like the main character is kind of like a drifter who is he's kind of disconnected from his heritage, his cultural heritage. For the people that don't know, that the game it's a spiritual mystery game that is inspired by Native American culture. So the main characters are Native American, and yeah, and as I was explaining, the main character is disconnected from his native heritage. He grew up in foster care when he was sent away from his family as a child, and he returns to this town where he was born, and he doesn't know his parents. But he returns when his father has died. His mother has also died, but that was earlier. And so he stands to inherit a house, and in this house he finds some clues to knowing that maybe his father's death wasn't an accident, which is initially thought, and that's kind of the catalyst for starting the whole development of the story.
I see. I see. Okay.
I'm not even sure what your question was, but now I just ran out on a tangent.
It's
Did
okay.
I answer anything that
No,
was
no, it's okay. It's okay. I love that. More
okay?
information, so I love that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, and what about the difficulty setting of your game? Like, I believe that a lot of like old school point and click adventure games like were more hard for people, and it was very good because I loved. I was growing up on those games. But what do you feel about like what was the goal for you to have a difficulty setting in your game? Since we know that a lot of like nowadays gamers are more casual ones. Like, did you want it to have the more difficult option and also like having like a more easier option, or it's something in between in the middle? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's a great question because growing up, I played a lot of adventure games, and I have to admit, I've never been one of the best players at those games for sure. I mean, I was always struggling and getting stuck and looking up solutions. And even today, when I play adventure games, if I get stuck, I mean, my patience for being stuck and walking around the game for a long time just isn't there. So I look up solutions, and I don't think that is the ideal way to play these games. I enjoy them for the story and the characters, the art, all that stuff. And so I try to make a game that isn't too hard, but I also find myself wanting to do puzzles that are interesting, and I try to come up with clever ideas about it. So it's actually a good question, because I have to say I don't exactly know at this point in time how hard my game is.
I see.
But I've had people test a demo of the game. I made a demo that I had like friends and family play, um, and it seemed like the right level of difficulty. But I think it's going to be something that I adjust doing development. The further I get into development, when I get people to beta test it, all that stuff, that's when I'm going to really like dive into figuring out how hard is this game. Do I need to loosen up on the puzzles? Do I need to add more complexity to the puzzles?
I see.
Whatever is needed to hit that sweet spot. I think a game like Hop Sparrow, which is a newer game. I'm not sure if you know it, but it's also a point-and-click adventure game, and I really enjoyed that for its difficulty level being. I mean, it's very much on the easy side, but it was so good in terms of story and character that for me I just realized when I played that game, it's much more important for me that the puzzles are there to just drive the story, but they shouldn't be like an obstacle for you to come to a halt in the entire game for like half an hour until you figure it out. So yeah, so to sum it up, I think my design philosophy is to not make it too hard,
I see.
but obviously still feel like a point-and-click adventure game with puzzles.
I see. Okay. Okay. And so when you were designing and making your game, and you are still making it, like, what was the choice behind having like voice acting in your game? Because of course, if we see some point-and-click adventure games, there is no voice acting. And what was the decision behind, or thoughts behind that you really like went down on the road with having voice acting?
Yeah, I think I just from the very beginning I wanted to do what felt like a premium title in that space. I mean, it's still a niche genre, and I mean, I can solo develop it, so it's not like it doesn't demand like a huge team of people. It just demands a lot of time. But yeah, and I think part of making a premium title in this space, it just feels right to have voice audio. So it was never actually a question for me. It was just a matter of how am I actually gonna do it. Yeah. So for now, I've only I hired a guy to do the voiceover for the trailer, who's actually a Lakota native, to keep the authenticity of everything, and so it still weighs off, because before I'm actually going to dive into doing a full voice cast and recording of everything. That part is a little bit intimidating, but I mean, it's a further down the road.
It's again a challenge, right? Like you said before.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not something I've ever done ever. Like, I've never recorded any voice stuff at all. So
I see.
Just doing it for the trailer, hooking up with a voice actor, and doing sessions and all that stuff. It was interesting, and it'll be a big mouthful, I think, when I have to do the entire game like that. But I mean, we'll figure it out.
I see. Okay.
I think that's my philosophy on this project, is I'll figure it out.
Nice. Love that. So you were talking about demanding your time to the game. Like, how do you find the balance in your life, like within like making the balance and the time for making your game, and also having time for your family and friends and other things in life? How do you balance that?
Yeah, I think what has been a major shift in my work hours. How do you say it? since I had my full-time job and what I'm doing now on my own, is that I mean I can manage my time any way I want. So I work the amount of hours I feel like doing on an everyday basis. Sometimes it's also on weekends. Sometimes it's I don't really put any rules for myself in terms of because I remember from having a full-time job at the end of the workday, you were just like burned out. Maybe you were browsing more web than you were actually working, just the final hour of the day kind of thing. And I don't want to put that on myself when I'm working as a solo
You just
developer.
want to work and then quit and have the other things in your life.
Exactly, and also I can. I mean, I've actually I've bought like a membership for the cinema here in Copenhagen, and so I enjoy just like in the middle of the day, I just look up what's actually going in the cinema right now. So I just go into town, watch a movie, come back and work again. I mean, it's very nice that you have this flexibility,
True.
and is able to just work when it feels right to work. And it sounds lazy maybe, but it's not. I mean, I
No,
work
it's
a
like
lot of
freedom,
hours on the
right? It's like
game.
freedom, real
Yeah,
freedom.
and but it's also a matter of I promised myself when I worked on this game that I was not. It had to be fun to do. If it feels like a burden, then I'm afraid that I would get burned out, or I would just it would become a chore instead of becoming a
Like a
fun
job,
project to work
right?
on.
To get money.
Yeah, exactly. And the only motivation I have in doing it is the fun part. I mean, it's hard to be like your own boss kind of thing and have the motivation to do it. So it was always very important for me to keep it interesting, keep it fun. It shouldn't become a job, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had those burnt outs like within your past jobs? How do you feel about that? Like, have you had that a lot?
No, I don't think in my past jobs I've always been like I've been actually very fortunate to never be out of a job. I've always worked very hard, and but I think burned out. Sure, in terms of being tired of a job at a certain point and then switching to another job, sure that has happened. And it also happened, as I mentioned earlier, in my last job, and that is part of the decision why I went on my own to do my own game.
I see.
Um, I mean, I've also felt a little bit of burnout during this production at certain points, but it's more been in terms of being stuck in some part of the development. Like I was kind of like I was writing a lot, and then at some point I just got sick of writing, you know, and you also get kind of stuck in the same ideas, and you need fresh perspectives, all that stuff. But then I usually just switch it up and I say, okay, now I'm just gonna start drawing something, or I'm gonna design some puzzles, or So I think I have a very how do you say? It's not a very linear process I'm working at.
It's like
I
crossing
really,
paths here and there,
yeah, no,
helping each
absolutely,
other
and
down the road, right?
yeah, and I do it because otherwise I kind of get stuck in this where I get tired of something, or I get it just becomes a chore to do, you know.
True.
Um, I mean, even art can become boring, I think, if I do it every day. So I think it's nice to jump back and then do a bit of implementation in Unity is
But
fun.
you can always be
Or,
influenced by something that you're doing, and if it's not connected to the game, right? So,
sorry?
and you can always like be influenced by something that is not connected through the or to the game that you are making. But if you take the time off from making your own game, right? So,
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, it's definitely also important to. I mean, even if I'm just watching a movie or I'm playing another game, that is also once you start to become a game developer, like on your own, it's not just a job. I think you become much more attentive to like other media. If you're watching a movie, if you're playing a game, I analyze more about how is the story working in this, how do they construct this, or in a game I start to notice like we talked about earlier, how hard are the puzzles, or how much dialogue is there, is it too wordy, is it too shallow. I mean, there's just a lot of thoughts that go through your head now once you are doing it yourself on the sideline.
I see. I see. And when you play games, like, does it take away that your perspective changed on how you view games as a player? Does it take away the fun part of playing games? How do you feel about that?
No, not at all. I actually think it's more interesting now because I have that extra layer of of just analyzing the game as well as playing and enjoying the game. So yeah, no, absolutely not.
I see. I see. Okay. Okay. And so throughout the journey of you making your own game, how do you feel about how have you changed as a person in other territories of your life? And how have you developed yourself as a person from making your own game?
That's a good question. Well, obviously, it's for me one of the reasons why I wanted to do a game was also to self-develop in more areas that I wasn't so good at or
Okay.
couldn't do at all, just to learn more. So for me, it's very much like a journey also of just expanding my skill sets, I
I see.
guess.
I see.
I think that's the main part of it.
I see. Okay. And have you always had this mentality of challenging yourself and learning new stuff?
Yeah, I'm very much a perfectionist at heart, and I think I've always wanted to learn new stuff. Definitely. I think in the jobs I had before, I had very specific roles, so it was hard to like expand on that. Once you're in like bigger companies, it's usually you get specialized. That is kind of the hat you wear, you know.
I see.
So, but yeah, so I really enjoy the process of making this game in terms of especially implementing the programming
I see.
part, diving into Unity. I mean, in my former job as a game at the mobile games company, I did we did use Unity, but it was very on a very shallow level
I
that I
see.
knew Unity. It was not in depth at all. Um, so it's actually been really fun to and a very steep learning curve to go into the whole programming part. I do visual programming, so it's not like I'm not really writing code.
I
It's
see.
more like using tool sets in Unity where you connect nodes that has
Drag
like
and drop.
different
Yeah.
exactly. And I think it's I mean there's still some scripts you have to add maybe sometimes if there's something that is like challenging to
I
do
see. I see.
with the basic options of the tool set I'm using. It's the tool set is Adventure Creator for Unity, and they have an amazing supportive forum. Um, the developer of Adventure Creator is very active on the forum and has helped a lot in like answering questions, especially in the beginning of development. I was like, it was all over the place. No, but it's just like you run into some problem and
True.
you have
True.
just no idea
No
how to
idea.
solve it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and it might actually, I mean,
Was it
today some of
scary,
those
by the
problems
way?
would
What?
is yeah, no, it was definitely scary because you I was constantly thinking like what if I can't actually solve this problem, what if I mean what do I do
True.
then
True.
I
True.
can't
True.
really make the game, you know. I need to be able to fix these problems one way or another. But again, the forum for the Adventure Creator has just been so supportive, so good at helping solve these problems that I've run into. And the further along you go in the whole process, the less and less you need that. I mean, the more you just figure out yourself and you get comfortable with the software, you run into the same problems you faced before, or you just your mindset just changes in the way of thinking how to solve these things. So, and you Google it, and I mean, you figure it out, and it's so I've come to a point now where I'm very comfortable with the whole development, the implementation
I see.
of the code, and it's just a lot of fun. I love seeing the scenes come to life. I mean, you when I'm drawing all this art, I'm doing the backgrounds, I'm doing the character animations. I have it on paper what's going to happen. But once you put it together and you have the dialogue, the portraits pop up with the dialogue speaking, all that stuff, it's wonderful to see, and it just every time I see a new scene come together, it gives me a new energy to want to see the next one, you know. So it's a constant motivation to continue development.
Nice. Nice. Okay. So, and what about the goal of the length of your game? Like, how long would you like the players to enjoy the whole story of your game? Have you had that
Yeah,
idea
I
in your
mean,
head?
I've obviously I looked at what other games are, how big are other games. That was one of the first things I researched, and I think in adventure games it's very common to have around like around like 50 backgrounds, 50 scenes. That's a very common size of
Okay.
games. So that was always my aim. I think I have around like 48 backgrounds or something
Okay.
planned. So it's very close to that number, and it might add or remove a few, it all depending on how it works out. Um, but in terms of like amount of hours you play, it's very difficult for me to determine at this point in time, because I don't have the whole game you can play
I
through.
see.
It's not
I
like
see. I see.
there's not like an alpha version or
I see.
something.
I see.
That there's like I think I have like 1/3 of the game that is playable.
I see.
Um, but I mean, I think other adventure games run something like 5, 7, maybe 10 hours.
Yeah. And
I'm not
it
sure.
also
Do
depends, of
you have
course.
an idea?
Yeah, and it also depends of how people play it, right? How people being able to solve
Sure.
the issues or problems in the game that they come
Yeah,
up
yeah,
with.
and
Yeah,
obviously it'll depend a lot on how hard the difficulty of the
true,
puzzles
true,
will be.
true, true.
How much are people going to be stuck
True,
walking around, or how much do they just get the puzzles
true,
and
true,
solve them easily
true.
and progress the story? So I think all in all, it's really up in the air for now
I
how
see.
long the game is. But I do plan on it being equivalent to games um, like Kathy Rain,
Okay,
or like Gabriel Knight back in the
okay,
day,
okay.
Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. I
Nice.
mean, any of those kind of pixel art point and click adventure games with spoken dialogue, that is exactly what I'm aiming
I see.
for.
I see. Okay, okay. And so, what about the other platforms? Would you like to release your game in the future for other platforms, not just PC as well? Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I'm on my Steam page. I've announced that it's going to be out for PC and Mac, because I think Mac is very easy to port to.
Okay.
From my understanding, once you have, I mean, Unity can export to Mac as well, so that should be easy. Early in development, I had the game was two-button interface with mouse button where you right click to examine stuff and you left click to like pick up or interact with stuff. But then I had some friends over and they played the demo, and I was like looking at them. Uh, I mean, they were not gamers that used to play these games. So every time they like clicked on something, I said, "Oh, also use the other button to see to examine it or whatever." But I was like, why do we even have two buttons? And because I also know that some games have gone a more modern way of having just a single click, uh, which is very easy to also port to like iPad, for instance, or
True,
mobile
true, true, true.
platforms. So I started experimenting with just having single click interface, and I just loved it. I love the simplicity of it. I don't need you, because you're right clicking on everything to examine it, and then afterwards you're left clicking to do something with it. Why not just left click and then you do whatever the action is that the character wants to do, but he can also comment on what it is he's doing or
True,
what the
true.
object is. So you can kind of combine those two functions into one. It streamlines the game so much more, and it becomes easier to, or it actually becomes possible to port in a nice way to mobile platforms, or especially iPad. I think would be suitable for a game like this. Yeah, so Mac, PC, possibly iPad, possibly Nintendo Switch, I guess. I mean, it's I don't really have like predefined ideas of
I see.
where to port it.
I see.
I think it'll happen depending on success, obviously, but also just how easy or how difficult is it to port, or is there really an audience on that platform? It's not really something I've researched a lot at this stage.
I
So
see. I see. And it makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And so, you, as a person who appreciates the old school era games which have been released in a physical form as well, are you planning to have a physical edition of your game in the future, or is it like depending on the success of your game? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some point and click adventure games in the genre who has done like Kickstarters where they do like a boxed version.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be fun. I haven't given it much thought, to be honest. For fun for now, I'm just like focused on developing the game, and anything related to like publishing or creating like a full box or all that stuff. I think that is a discussion for later. But I mean, it could be fun. It could be fun just to have like this physical copy in your
True,
hands,
true, true, true,
for sure.
true. Okay.
It's also a matter of like do I want to do a Kickstarter? Because I think if I do a Kickstarter, I'll probably do like a box version because that seems like such a good goal to have as
True, 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 true,
part of the Kickstarter.
true.
Just to make it enticing for people to support the Kickstarter.
True, true.
But I also hear from people that Kickstarter is also, I mean, you can spend so much time just organizing the Kickstarter, making giving the attention to the Kickstarter, and also just in shipping all the stuff and organizing
It's
all
also again
the
hard
people that
work,
have
right? What
supported.
a lot of people do not
Yeah,
understand that it's not just a click, that you post it and
exactly.
people get it for money. Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I've heard. I've heard it takes a lot of energy to do a proper Kickstarter, and it might happen later in development for me, but it's not something that I'm gonna do anytime soon for sure.
I see. I see. Okay. Okay. And so you mentioned that when you worked on your game, you had some parts throughout the development journey of yours that were like harder than you expected. What were those parts? Like what like you consider the hardest part so far of making your own game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still struggling with puzzle design, so that's definitely a difficult thing.
Okay.
I think mainly it's not like I understand puzzle design, and it's not uh, understanding it and knowing how it's done is not the hard part. I think the hard part is really coming up with original and fun puzzles that are also logical. I don't want to do puzzles that are illogical. It's very important to me that everything is logical, and I also obviously try to make it as creative as I can and figure out how to make them fun. So I think puzzle design is hard in that respect, and I never knew that when I went into making the game. I always thought that was not going to be the hard part, but I've found out that is actually very difficult to do
I see.
at a very good level. But I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, also writing the script. I've never written anything like anything major, and now I have like a script that is 18,000 words, and it's not even
That's a
I
lot.
mean, a lot
Okay,
of,
that's a lot.
and it only has key dialogue, because all the other dialogue that you have in the game that is just like talking to some NPC that doesn't dialogue that doesn't really progress the story, but just gives you like a
More
broader
information
understanding
about the
of the,
theme. Yeah.
exactly, that is not in the script. So the script is massive compared to what I've ever written before. So that was a challenge, but it's actually been really fun to write. I actually really enjoy writing, I have to say.
I see. Okay. Maybe you will be a writer after making a game, right? Again, a challenge for you. Who knows?
Uh, I, I, yeah, I don't think so, but yeah, could be.
Okay, or release your games in a like book form or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
No, but it's definitely giving me more love for doing story content. So I'm definitely gonna. I mean, my next game, if there's a next game, I hope so.
I hope so too.
That'll definitely also be rich on story. I think that's become apparent to me that I'm really excited about telling stories and having nice, deep characters. You know.
I see. I see. Okay. So what about the music? Like what was the choice behind the music and like how the music has been made so far for your game? Was it like you who made or composed the music for your game, or was it like a totally different person or a group or a band?
So for now, there's no music in my game. There's
Okay, so it's
actually
just a trailer,
only,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The trailer music is respectively it's two pieces of music.
Okay.
One was like one is like a free piece of music, license free
Okay.
piece of music I found on YouTube. Another is also it's well, it's something you had to license. So I paid a little bit of money and
I
then I
see.
can use it for the trailer.
I see. I see. I see.
So both of them are just I think the music I use for the trailer is not too far from what I want for the game.
It really fits the vision, I think. It's really fits with
Yeah,
the
it
vision.
does. I like music that is more atmospheric
I
than
see.
having like a catchy title
I
tune,
see.
you
I
know?
see. I see. I see.
I love stuff that is like melancholic, that has like piano,
I see.
strings, stuff like that.
There is a beauty in the
And I've
sadness of in those melodies, right?
exactly. I'm really a sucker for
Yeah.
melancholic
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
for sad emotional stuff. And I I mean, as a solo developer, I flirted with the thought of learning how to do music
Okay. Okay.
just to add another crazy
Okay.
layer to the
Challenge again.
progress. But yeah, but I think maybe that's not gonna happen. But it's a fun idea. But so I am probably gonna hire someone to do
I
the
see.
music at some later stage in the development, and I plan for it to have because of the whole Native American theme. I think it's important to also kind of support that on the musical side.
True. True. True.
So
True.
so without having even tried anything or having heard anything, then I could imagine using something like flutes or having some sort of instrumentation that supports the whole native theme.
Traditional,
But
yeah, to the
yeah,
theme, yeah.
at least in parts of the game, because the whole game is not set like, I mean, part of the game is set in this small town called Birchwood Hollow, which is more like reminiscent of like something you would see in a Stephen King movie, like a small lake town kind of setting. And then you have the native reservation, which is a close by setting, which you also get to visit in the game.
I see.
And I think once you visit like more areas where it's more native characters, I think it would be yeah, just fitting with the game to have that part of the
I
soundtrack
see.
dive more into that kind of mood, you know.
I see. I see. And
But
what?
it's very
No,
interesting
go for
to
it.
just think about the yeah, no, I've just given a lot of thought to the whole soundtrack thing, and it's interesting to just think about ideas for it and how that's gonna form. But it's still something that is a bit ways off because I think I need to have a bigger piece of the
I
game
see.
before I start
To see
playing
the whole
around
bigger
with
picture, right?
yeah, because the sound is so important for like
True.
getting that feeling of what is the tone of this game
True.
like
True.
in
True.
general.
True.
And it's also about how is the writing progressing?
I
How
see.
is the tone just gonna how is the whole tone of the game
True.
feel? And
True.
the music needs to support that. So
True.
everything has to come together in some way.
True. True.
So yeah, so that's why I think it's important that I wait a little bit so I have
I
a
see.
clearer vision of the style of the
I see.
game.
I see. Do you think like you would like to have also like vocal music in the soundtrack parts of your game, like where people sing about something?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, there will be some native chanting, I know, in the game, but
Okay.
singing, I'm not sure if you can, if we call it singing, but no, that would not be like traditional songs or something like that. I don't think so.
Like when they sit near the campfire, and having those vibes together.
Yeah, no, no,
Okay. Okay.
that's
I'm
not
crying
planned.
now.
That's not
No,
planned.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Well, there's a jukebox in the game, so maybe there will be songs
Oh,
playing on
okay.
that.
Okay.
We'll
Now I'm
see.
happy. See.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I was joking. Just yeah.
You have to fix the jukebox before you can actually play anything on
Oh,
it.
okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
that's a puzzle for you.
Okay. 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 I love that. I love that. Okay. Okay. So you were
That's
talking about.
actually the
No, no. Go for it.
uh,
Sorry.
uh, yeah. I was just going to elaborate on the jukebox now, whether we speak of it, because the jukebox is actually a mini game puzzle. Because I'm going to do
Oh,
a
okay.
couple of mini game puzzles in the
Oh,
game. Um, Yeah, so the jukebox has been like beaten up and is broken, and then you have to fix it. And there's some cabling stuff that you need to fix inside the
Oh,
jukebox.
okay.
So I am gonna do a few mini games. I know that is like some people like them, other people don't like them in adventure games. So I'm probably gonna make sure that they are definitely not very hard. So it
I
doesn't
see.
become like because it's very different from the traditional adventure game play that the traditional point and click gameplay. So it's not for everyone to do those mini games. So I'm gonna try and make that as non-disruptive for the flow of the game as possible.
I see. I see. Okay.
And I've already made one of those, and that was kind of like it felt like an achievement because I was like, when I was developing that in Unity, I was like, fuck, can I actually can I do like a mini game? I mean, that is because with the tool set that you have, it's easy to have a character walk around, click on stuff, pick up stuff. But once you have to do a mini game, it becomes a different level of visual coding
I
where
see. I
to
see.
get the logic to make sense. And it's just it was actually really hard, but it was also a very good learning experience. And I felt really good coming out of that on the other side and thinking, okay, I can actually do these mini games. I'll figure it out, even if they are different from each one. I'm sure I have the confidence that I can pull it off.
I see. Okay. Okay. Have you always had this mentality, by the way, that you're not giving up anything that you start?
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, I'm very much a perfectionist, so I think I've always just been like grinding hard at some problem until I solve it. I always
I
want to
see.
solve it the right way,
I see.
It's so yeah, yeah, definitely. But I mean, if the mini games were too hard to do, if it was like too much of a struggle, I would probably have just skipped it and thought, okay, let's just keep it simple. I mean, it's my first game, right? So I maybe I'm already like being too ambitious with some things, but again, that's the perfectionist in me. I don't want to go halfway on
I
something.
see.
I really want to make stuff that is
Full into it.
awesome. And yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever had to cut out, by the way, something from your game throughout the development journey of yours?
I haven't yet,
Okay.
but I've been. I want to do like an intro for the game that is like an animated intro,
Oh, okay.
um, and I haven't done that yet. So who
Okay.
knows if that ends up in the game?
Okay. Exclusive
It depends
information here.
on.
Thank you for
Yeah,
it.
no, because I know that it's gonna be like there's some work that has to go into that as well, right? To
True, true, true.
and it's not absolutely necessary for the game.
I see.
Right now the game just starts with you've seen the bus in the trailer, so the game just starts with the bus pulling up and the main character getting off the bus, and then the game kind of starts there. But I wanted to do like an intro where you see the guy sitting in the bus, you see the low setting sun coming out between the orange
That's the
trees,
vibe of
and
the
then you
game,
see,
yeah.
and then yeah, and then you see like the bus like driving down the hills. So you see behind the trees, you see the town come into sight with the lake in the center, all that stuff, just to like kind of set the mood, like an establishing shot of the whole setting of the
I see,
town.
I see, I see.
That could be nice. It could definitely be nice. So I at this stage I plan on doing it, but if I would say something that's gonna be missing from the game, that might be it. We'll
For the
see.
future, right? You answer my
Yeah, it's
future
definitely for the
questions.
future, but it's all a matter of do I have the energy and the time to do it? But
I
I
hope
want
so
to do
because
it.
it sounds nice.
I want to do it, and I plan on doing it. So
Okay.
let's see.
Let me know. Let me know. We'll see in the game, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
hopefully.
exactly.
Okay. And so what about
But
the
at least now you know what would have been
true,
in the
true,
game
true,
if you
true,
play
true,
the
true.
game and it's
I
not
will I
there.
will tell
Yeah,
type down you in the Steam review when it releases that I was
exactly.
missing it. I knew about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just joking, of course. Okay,
Now I
so
have to do it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. People will know it. Now you cannot go
yeah,
back with it.
exactly.
Yeah,
I know, I know.
yeah. Okay. So what about the name of the game? How did you came up with the name or the title of the
Oh man, that was actually really hard. I mean, I had like a lot of going back and forth on what is the title of this game. What do other games call themselves in the same genre? That was like obviously you have The Secret of Monkey Island or The Adventures of something.
Yeah.
But it's like I didn't want it to feel too cliche. I want to
Okay.
do a story that is very deep on character, deep on story, deep on emotion. So I've always thought of it like watching an indie movie.
Okay.
It's like and I wanted it to have a title that kind of reflected that.
I see.
When I watch indie movies, they always have like titles that are a little bit deeper, that has a little
True,
bit more
true, true, true.
reflection.
It's very true, yeah.
Yeah, and so how exactly I came up with the title, I'm not sure, but a lot of ideas were going through my head, and one day I just had "As the Leaves Fall." I thought it had like several layers to it. I mean, it's a very poetic sounding title first
True,
and
true, true,
foremost,
true.
which I really liked. I mean, it fits with the whole indie movie idea. But then also I thought about what the story was, and I mean, it is very much like a journey of self-discovery and a journey of identity, of not knowing where you're from, and the leaves falling kind of represents like a change of seasons, and it's also like a change in this character's development or
I
progression,
see. I see.
and there's also like mystery and secrets in this game. And I also thought it's also a nice like image that when the leaves fall, you see the naked tree behind it. So it's also kind of like the cover falls and you see the truth behind it.
Truth,
So
yeah.
so there's a little bit of like yeah, how do you say, like fun connections to different meanings of the word.
I see. I was telling you you should write books, right? I was telling you before, and I was right
Oh
about
man,
it.
I mean, I know how hard it is to write like a script for
But
this game.
you
So
have good ideas, and you
I
appreciate
have
all these
so
things.
much.
So
I Oh, thank you, but I have so much respect for people who write books. I think that's immensely hard. So yeah, I'm not sure I would be up for that. I think in terms of doing it for a game, sure, but a complete book, that's hard.
we'll see that. We'll see that. I hope that you will
Yeah,
start
we'll
something
see.
doing that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. 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 And by the way, a question from me as a more personal question again. So, in
sure.
your real life, do you appreciate your childhood and nature and your family that much as you do in the game as well? So, is it like an influence that you had to put into the game? Like, could we say so that you were influenced by your own self by appreciating nature, family, your childhood? Because I feel like your game story is really about that, just based on the seeing the trailer of your game, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, my own upbringing was very uneventful. I mean, it's like my parents are even still married, so it's I've had a very comfortable and good childhood. There's nothing really been missing,
Yeah, but
and
you can
I'm
understand the problem that people have in real life, right? Because I believe
sure.
that those people who might have. So it's very interesting because I had a very nice childhood as well, and I had a very good parenthood as well, and I grew up in a very loving family. But I believe that those people like you and me might understand this word with a better sense in some way, because we can like see the good side, the very good side that we lived through, and we can see also the bad side that other people lived through, and that's how we, are being able to compare. Because I feel like those people who like are living in a very bad household, they might be able to appreciate the good things after they achieved it, right? But we as kids, if we like used to live in a very good situation, we like not need to achieve that situation, right? Like we already had, and we just have to go through the bad things of life. So that's the process. This crossover path, between people who had a good family relationship or not. And I feel like that's how we can like relate to those topics that are, maybe being worse in other people's lives. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's very true. I also think that, I mean, even if I haven't had a childhood where there was a lot of struggles, you still come across people or you have friends that have.
True,
So
true,
it's
true, true,
there's always stories of that you hear or that you read
true,
about or that you watch in movies or,
true.
and I think those stories have just always touched me. I mean, it's always been just very. I love stories that. I mean, that's the best stories, right? People that are
True.
struggling and
Exactly.
they
Exactly.
find their way and
Exactly.
there's some sort of reward or
Exactly.
progress in their life
Exactly.
at the end.
I believe that.
And the game is very much that kind of story. I mean, it is characters that struggle. There's a lot of like the game touches on a lot of like social struggles,
I see.
like poverty, like uh, like inequality. There's like abuse. There's um, loss. I mean, there's just issues of belonging. The main character, doesn't feel like he belongs anywhere. So there's a lot of like these social struggles that the game dives into and finds some sort of resolve at the end. Not necessarily becoming like this happy ending kind of story,
It
but
doesn't need to be, in my
just
opinion, right?
no, it,
So
it
these
doesn't need to
stories
be
are not
exactly.
good because they have happy endings, but they have like, this, like we talked about it before, like this beauty in the pain aspect of these stories, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, I also want the game to feel authentic and feel real, and so it shouldn't feel like a fairy tale. It needs
True,
to.
true, 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 true.
I like it to have some sadness or pain somewhere in the game,
True, true,
so it,
true.
it
Yeah.
becomes it becomes something you can relate to, or you can at least emotionally connect with in
Connect.
some
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Okay, okay. Okay, we talked about a lot of topics here. Thank you for your honesty, by the way. Are you down to like go into some questions from my chat and my community as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Bring
Thank
it
you.
on.
Okay, okay. Okay, let us know if there is any question. Let us know. Let me follow up with the chat. Let me watch it back. Let me check it. Let us know, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions. Let us know. Oh, there's a question from Minnie. Okay, let me read it. Oh, okay. So, Minnie watched the trailer of your game on Steam page, and she uh, like thought that it's really resonating with the movie called. It's not Bear Brothers, I know. Wait, let me. Let's
The
me.
Disney movie that's
Yeah,
called
the
Brother Bear.
Brother Bear. Is it Brother Bear or
I think so.
Brother Bear? I'm not sure the title. I know it's Matsuko testvére in Hungarian, but I'm not sure what. Oh yeah, Brother Bear. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it really brought up that movie in her thoughts because she loved that one.
Okay.
Um,
Is that question? Or
yeah, no, I'm just reading because it's in Hungarian. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. I'm reading it through and then translated it. Yeah. Oh, okay. So the totem creature or totem. Yeah. So the totem creature, was it like a decision that you uh, were willing to put into your game, like on an intentional level? Like, do you have like an influence behind that? Like, what creature is made out of that wood?
Oh, that one. I was
Yeah, because
thinking,
there
what
is
are
an
we talking
owl.
about?
There is
Yes.
an owl,
Yes.
if I'm
Yes.
correct, right? Yeah, she's right on that.
Okay. Well, so the game dives into several Native American
Okay.
cultural things. So it discusses totems, it discusses spirit animals, it discusses also. There's also some folklore that is like native folklore that the game dives into. Um, this part of the story is where you meet a character called Mocha, who's like a wise old shaman kind of character, and you meet him when he's standing outside and he is chipping away at this totem he's building. And he explains what totems are to the main character, who has very little understanding of his native heritage.
I see.
So yeah, so that explains why the totem is in the game, but it doesn't. there's no particular story about that
Okay.
specific totem.
Okay.
But there will be a lot of like yeah, just explaining or going in depth of the whole culture, which I find very interesting. I mean, I've done a lot of research into the whole native culture to do this game, so I try to be very respectful of it, and I try to just use a lot of that culture in different ways in the game to give it both a flavor, but also to show people that there's a lot of really interesting stuff I didn't even know before I delved into the research for the game. And it also touches upon some like historical facts
I see.
about the Native Americans.
I see.
I mean, there's a lot of really sad stories connected to that. Yeah, I really like to that the game actually has that depth to it. It's not just any other adventure game title. It actually really has that theme connected to the story,
I
and
see. I see.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the question and the answer as well. Sorry. Oh, Minnie was writing that the all in their mythology or their folklore is like represents the knowledge and the wisdom. If I'm being correct about
Yeah,
it.
no, that's true.
Okay.
They have a lot of like all animals basically has something they represent. Um, so yeah, but yeah. So I guess the owl is actually I actually didn't even think about that when I drew the owl for him to be chipping at. But that fits the character very well since he's like this wise old shaman.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that again. Thank you. Okay. Any more questions? Any more questions? Bármilyen más kérdés, hölgyek, urak? Oh, also let me, by the way, share your game Steam page. I forgot to do that. Let me. Okay. So shared it again. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know. Any more questions? Bármilyen más kérdés? Bármilyen más kérdés? Did I share? Oh, yeah, I did share. Okay. Bármilyen más kérdés, hölgyek, urak? Any more questions? Until we are waiting for some more questions, I will have one more. So you were talking about like other ideas in the future that you might want to go into, like making in a game form. So do you have like already planned or some stories in the back of your mind, or like written down on paper, or characters or anything?
Yeah, I actually have another idea that was one of the ideas that I developed alongside this one, but it never got as far as this one. So this
Okay.
one kind of took priority,
This
and
one,
so
right? The race.
yeah, exactly. That's the one that won the race. But the other idea, there's some stuff in that I really, really like. It's just I haven't like expanded on it, so it hasn't become like a
I see.
full-fledged
I
script.
see. I see. I see.
But there is like a draft or like how can you say like a
Sketch.
synopsis of what that character or what that story is gonna be,
I see.
and it's very different from this game, but still a point-and-click adventure game.
I see.
But yeah, I that could be the possible next game, but
Okay.
I'm not gonna talk about
No, it's
it.
understandable, and thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. And like, would you feel like, or do you feel like,
Well,
you
I can
could?
I can disclose that if I do that game as the next one, it is a sci-fi game, so
Oh,
it's more
okay.
like a futuristic
Exclusive
game
information again.
instead of
Thank you
being.
for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So that's
Thank you.
exclusive information,
Thank
but
you.
it doesn't have a title, and it's like a lot of years in the future. I
Okay.
have to say that on this game, I still expect there to be like 2 or 3 years left in development. So it's even this game, it's not coming out tomorrow, but now you know.
Okay. Thank you for that.
it comes out when it's done, as they
True,
say,
true,
right?
true, true, true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfectionist in you, and I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, okay. And do you feel like you really like found yourself by making games, and you could do this like for your entire life, or there will be like also again a switch in your like mindset when you like say, okay, I'm enough now with this,
Yeah,
all
that's a
these
good
games that I
question.
made, and now I want to again challenge myself, or how
Yeah.
do you feel about it?
To be honest, I don't know, because as I mentioned earlier, I've always wanted. I mean, I've always had a hard time just
I see.
continuing doing something forever.
I see.
So when I worked in movies, I switched to games. When I worked in games, I switched to becoming a solo developer. I don't know what the next thing is. I mean, maybe it's going to be games for the next 10, 20 years. Maybe it's going to be writing that book, or
Yeah, true, true, true.
uh,
I'm happy
I,
that
I
you have
also I
remembered that.
also have a dream of maybe making something in stop motion. I mean, I am
Okay,
educated
lovely.
as an animator, but I've always only worked with 3D
I
animation
see.
and 2D and digital animation.
I see.
But I've never done like stop motion, and I've always loved stop motion animation. So I wouldn't be surprised if someday in the future I would make like a short film or something in
For a
stop
stop
motion.
motion game, right?
But
It's rare. Like it's
also,
very rare.
that's true.
Yeah.
No, that's true. That was like they made these. What was it called? Neverhood or something back in the
Neverhood. Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
With that like a stop motion character.
Yeah.
So it's and there has also been some modern at point and click adventure games that are using 3D
True.
to make it look like it's stop
Stop
motion.
motion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, where the characters are like they
Harold's
have this.
Halibut is also like a game
Yeah,
in
yeah,
stop
exactly.
motion.
No,
Yeah.
that's exactly one of them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wasn't the one called Trooperbrook or something a German? I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was
True.
also
True.
kind of
True.
like
True.
stop
True. True. I
motion.
know that. I know that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
kind of had that style as
Yeah.
well. So it could definitely be interesting to. I mean, graphically, okay, I can disclose that I don't think I'm gonna do another pixel art style game as the next one for
I
sure.
see.
Uh, for sure, not for sure. Well, let's see. Because the thing is that I just think it's also this thing about trying to explore other things, you know.
I see.
So as much as I want to do more stories in like adventure games, I one of the things you can shake up is like doing a different art style, right? So I could imagine either going for like high res 2D graphics, or it could be maybe a combination of stuff like 3D and 2D,
Okay.
and I'm not sure, but I doubt that if I do another game after this one, that I would do it in exactly the same art
I
style. I
see.
think it would be interesting to try different
Switch.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes when I come across like artwork on the internet or like on Facebook or on forums or X, wherever, or other social media platforms, when I see something that is like an art style that I could see myself doing in an adventure game, I like save it locally, you know, because then at some point when I'm gonna do the next game, let's say I'm gonna do the next game,
I
then
hope so.
yeah, yeah. Then I have this folder that I can look in for inspiration, and I'm sure that that will inspire the next visual style, at least how that's gonna be.
I see. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. Let us know if there is any more question. Let us know. I know it's work time, but if you are not lurking,
Bring
speak
the
up.
questions, people.
Yes, yes, yes. And don't forget to wish us the game, even if it's not coming out
Oh
tomorrow,
yes,
like you
that would
said. But don't forget to do that. Yeah,
please wishlist the game. That helps a lot.
yeah. Do you know release date, by the way, or do you have a release date for the demo so far, or you are still not sure when you are releasing the
No,
game?
as I said, the game is still like 2 or 3 years out,
Okay,
and so there's no release date. But I have a demo, but I'm not sure when I will release a
I
demo.
see. I see.
Because I'm probably, I mean, if I release a demo, I'm also gonna do voice recording for that, I
I see.
think. And I mean, it's gonna feel like a total representation
Yeah,
of the
like
game. So there will,
you're saying it, like a
so no, probably
perfectionist you.
even,
Yeah.
yeah, there will probably even be music made for the demo and
Okay.
all that. So even if I have a demo right now that is playable, it doesn't have music, it doesn't have voiceover.
Like it's not the
So
full package would be.
yeah, so it's not the kind of demo that I would
I
present
see.
officially. It's more like a demo I can have people play to test it and to get reactions and see. It's been so rewarding to see people play the demo. I mean, the demo is actually more than a year old now. It's like a year and a half old. But when I first had people play the demo, it was so fun to watch because I'm like stuck in my own little world. I know the puzzles, I know the solutions to the puzzles, I know the story, so there's everything makes sense to me. But when you see other people play for the first time, it's like you all of a sudden realize how do people perceive these puzzles?
True,
How do
true,
they
true.
perceive the characters? How do they perceive the story?
True.
So it's been really like it's just very valuable for me to experience people playing it.
I see. Okay. Thank you for that, by the way. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
We
you.
talked about a lot of topics here today. Do you feel like we haven't touched something that you would like to talk about?
Oh man, I don't know what that is. Not something I can think of right now.
You will probably remember after we close down the stream or some days
Probably.
later.
I'll
I
I'll
know
I'll
that
wake up.
feeling. I know that feeling.
I'll wake up in the middle of the night and
You
think,
will
"Damn, why
message
didn't we
me.
talk about that?" But
But
yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. 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 Thank you for that. Okay. And so, how do you feel about like? Do you feel like you will in the future will you be going back to your old jobs as well, like again, because you were telling us at the very beginning of your interview that sometimes like you went back to your old job and then you went full time again into making your game. How do you feel about that? Do you still miss it to go back to those old jobs of
Um,
yours, or how do you feel about that?
yeah. So I think not too long ago, I like last year, I actually worked part time all of last year,
Okay.
and I did and I went back to doing 3D animation
Okay.
for movies. Worked on an animated Danish movie, or actually a Swedish movie, but doesn't matter. Um, so I always enjoy animation and I always enjoy drawing. So I think in the future I could definitely see myself doing either of
I
those
see.
again. It's more a matter of when will I be getting tired of doing my own games, or is it sustainable to do my own games? I
I
mean,
see.
that's the uncertainty of a future as a
True,
solo
true,
dev,
true,
right?
true, true.
Um, but I mean, for the foreseeable future, I hope to be able to continue making games on my own, making these point and click adventure games. I would love to make more stories, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's really hard to predict the future,
True, true,
but
true.
never say never.
True, true, true. Okay. Okay, so closing question of mine would be like, what your advice would be for those people who want to start making their own games as a solo developer? Like, what would be the advice that you would like to give for those people?
Oh man. Um, well, I'm not even sure that I should be giving advice since I'm still learning, but
Or your
well,
experiences that you would like to share,
yeah,
that
yeah,
how it shaped you and how
yeah.
they should be aware of it, like how
I
what
mean,
mistakes they not should do or something like that.
I think something that has become obvious to me is how hard it is to do the whole to actually get eyeballs on your game. I mean, I didn't have any social media presence connected to the game before the day I launched it, or before the day I announced it. So so it was. I think maybe a good idea is to start early on social media presence. But I mean, I've been also quite humbled by how much great feedback and how many people have actually already like followed me on Twitter and who is people retweeting stuff you post, and
True.
there's a lot of positive reactions to it. So I'm just like, yeah, my advice would definitely be to start really early with the whole social side and really build an audience. I'm still struggling, so you can maybe tell me advice in doing that. I don't know, but
I'm not
I
good at
actually
marketing either, so
no,
that's the
that's the
hardest
thing.
part, right? Like, you can be
Yeah, it
creative and
is.
all, but marketing, man, it's the hardest part of
It
everything,
is,
in my
and
opinion.
I'm not even, and I'm not sure how. I mean, you can spend so much time doing that. That's kind of what I've
There's not like a
come to
perfect
know.
recipe for it, right? So like, there's not a
Yeah,
100% sure thing how you should do it. Like, you can't
yeah.
learn
I
this
mean,
from books, you know. It's like,
yeah, no. I mean, you probably can,
you can,
but
but it's like not sure.
I
It's not guaranteed,
but
right? That you will have
yeah.
success. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also like such it's I mean, marketing is also like a huge field that you can be knowledgeable in, and it's
True.
I'm just trying to learn it as I go, I guess. I mean, I still have the I guess the fortune of having still 2 or 3 more years of development on this game, that I'm still early on social media. Um, so I still have a long time to start to build an audience, and we'll see how long or how far I get with that during the development. I mean, there might be some options like you are on Twitch, and I know there are some indie developers that stream on Twitch where they like draw
True.
backgrounds
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
do animation or whatever for
Yeah.
their game, like. So I might do something like that in the future to try and build an audience
Yeah,
also
that's the
that way.
perfect way, in my
Oh,
opinion, because like you will
it's
be
actually
building a fan base and a friend base as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, I think what I struggle with right now in terms of social media, my main place that I'm actually active right, and I have only, yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away the entire game, you know, posting the same screenshots, the same trailers I've made, but it's like how much stuff that I can share with people.
Like, it's
I
hard to find a balance.
I cannot post every day something new. That's not. I actually got flagged on Twitter for or what they considered it, but Twitter and using hashtags and all that. Maybe I was just spamming too much the same content or something, or doing it too much of getting banned from my account.
Yeah.
No, I just need to figure these. But I think it's doing something like a stream. You do
It
art.
can really help. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Then you can actually do a lot of streams, and you're not giving
From the
like
game,
it's
yeah.
not like a constantly a new screen. Yeah.
Personal
So
connection with the
yeah.
players or the
Also.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Really scared of doing like a progress of how I draw. Like
Yeah, I understand.
it's intimidating to me to live audience and seeing all the how weird a process I have. You know.
That's thing.
No, but that's I man, that's the perfect. It's just uh, it's a hurdle that I probably need to overcome.
Which
The
again,
fun,
right?
yes, and it's one of those things that do on this project, because earlier this is also a project for me to do stuff that is outside, be better at stuff, and you know all these things. So live streams where I paint and draw and speak about it. I mean, I should do it. Maybe I'll do it. We'll see.
Let me know. Let me know. I will be there. I will be
Yeah, I
cheering in
will.
the chat.
Yeah. Then I'll have one guy looking at the stream at least.
No. You will have more, I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay. Okay, thank you, by the way, for your time. And like I said, I will need some of your more minutes. But for those who are watching
Sure.
this, I'm very thankful that you joined us today for this
I'm very
episode
thank you
of
for inviting me.
live show. Thank you, my friend. And yeah, for those who are watching us live or will be watching us as for our video version of our interview or the edited version of our interview, thank you for being here with us today, and have a great
Thank you to
day
the
or
chat.
depending where you live. And don't forget to wishlist the game. Don't forget to do that.